This lake behind me is the very well-known Bonsai Lake. There are fish topping everywhere. However, I have heard it's fishing quite difficult at the moment. It's mid-November. It has gone cold, the leaves are falling, it's very much becoming a winter scene now. The water's going a little bit clearer. So because it's fishing hard, I just thought I'm going to try a couple of approaches that can be great for just getting bites during winter. The first one is I'm going to be fishing with a Maggot Feeder. I'm going to be fishing over towards an island where I'm hoping we might catch some F1s. However, silverfish might be a problem. I don't really know how many roach and other silverfish species there are in here, but I guess we'll find out. And then the second half of the session, I'm going to be loose feeding corn. I'm going to build up a short line just down to my right hand side with corn, where I'm hoping we're going to catch some bigger fish in the second part of the session. So the peg that I'm fishing is permanent peg 62. It's just on the edge or the point of a small island. It's about 16 or 17 meters away. So I've got open water in front of me. I've got some open water to my right, but I'm going to kick off just toward the point of the island. And like I say, there are a few fish rising. I'm guessing they're F1s. But by kicking off with maggots, I think we're just going to get a few bites no matter what the species. And then all the time I'm going to be feeding down this right hand side with corn, where I'm hoping we're going to catch some bigger fish later. So I'm going to kick off with the Maggot Feeder. However, I am going to be feeding some corn down this right hand side. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to keep putting that many pieces of corn just where I can actually drop my feeder later on. So that's going to be just there. So it's about 3 meters out from the bank, but it's just a nice range where I can just, if I use my feeder or my bomb that I fish with later on, if I could just underarm it there like that, drop it right on that spot, just where it gets down into that little bit of the, you know, deeper water. But I'm going to kick off casting across there. I'm going to start off with double maggot. So I've got some fresh live maggots that I got from the tackle shop here this morning. I've got size 16 on. The actual hook is an MXC1 size 16, and that is to 012 hook length. It's just 4-inch long, this hook length, and we'll just see how we go with that. I don't know what stamp fish we might be catching, I don't know. So it's a 4-inch hook length, and then I've just got the free running feeder, as you can see there, inline feeder, and it's only a light feeder. This is 15 gram. It's a 15 gram feeder, which is all I need to get there, but I might need to step that up, which I'll talk about in a moment. Let's just get the feeder out there. So this feeder, I'm going to start off filling the feeder up. I don't know how many maggots we're going to get in this feeder. It's not a very big feeder, but I don't want to feed too much in case it is going to be hard. I've been told it's fishing hard at the moment. Okay, so they're the live maggots in there. I'm just going to get this out there. I'm already clipped up just to the right of the point of the island. Get the line down. It's not very deep there, as you can imagine. We're fishing straight away. Just got a bit of a breeze coming from left to right, so that's going to help sink the line a little bit. But we're fishing quite quickly with this. Now in summer normally you'd be casting into that shallow water up towards that island, and the fish might be there today. I don't know. There is a bit of colour in it, or it has gone a little bit clearer, but there is still colour in it, as you can see. So we might find that the fish are up that shelf towards that island in that shallower water. But as you'd expect in winter, sometimes you find you've got to drop down that slope into that slightly deeper water. And I think we might have to change the feeder. If we want to stay up that shelf, I might need to go to a slightly heavier feeder, just so it holds bottom better up that shelf. But we'll find out. We'll find out if that's enough. That seems to be holding all right there, and that's just 15 grams. So I'll stick with this and keep getting some maggots out there. I'm going to start, on 5-minute casts, just to get a few maggots out there, get a feel. Look, there's fish there, there's fish moving everywhere, so I don't think it'll be long before we get an indication. Same spot, and again on the point of that island, that breeze is blowing into it, but it's showing that there's some fish moving around. I've had 6 casts now and I haven't had an indication. It's really surprising. For how many fish are actually rising, it's unbelievable. I haven't even had a line bite, which really surprises me. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to unclip, and take this clip off, and come back towards me a couple of meters, just so that that feeder is now going to be landing into that deeper water. There's so many fish moving around. Admittedly, they are down to my right now, 2 or 3 pegs to my right, but it shows you that the fish are moving. So this is going to drop shorter now, so it means that that feeder is going to be landing in that deeper water. We'll have a few casts there now, see if we can get any indications in that, just at the bottom of that slope. Well, I've been fishing for an hour now with maggots, 2 lovely red maggots. I've even tried single maggot on a size 16 and I haven't had a single bite. I'm getting the odd indication that there's 1 or 2 fish moving about, obviously liners. There's still fish topping, but I'm going to have to put my other jacket on. That wind is freezing. I think winter's really landed. I'm going to have a bit of a change of tactics. It's going to be a winter approach. I'm ditching the maggot approach now and I'm going to fish as though it's just like the depths of winter. There are still the odd fish topping, there's some fish out there, but I'm going to fish it just as though we would if it was January, February. We fish with a bomb and you go looking for fish. That's what I'm going to do. I've got some bread, I've got some corn, but I'm still feeding that short corn line for later on. I'm not ditching that, so I can try a grain of corn. I'm going to put a speed stop on. I've got some ready tied hook lengths here, and that's going to allow me to fish with discs of bread and grains of corn as well. And I'm going to start casting to the fish, see if we can locate a pocket of fish and fish it as though it's really in the depths of winter, just to see if we can find a few fish. So the rig that I've switched to is just a free running bomb rig. Okay, so we've got a snap link swivel, 17 gram bomb, and that's so I can put this in different areas of the swim, and I could go down to my right as well, which is where I've seen most of the fish rising. I've got a small stopper there that just stops the rig, and then I've just got a short hook length of about 20 centimeters, and then that's where I've got a speed stop. And at the moment, and to kick off, I've got 3 discs of bread just on a speed stop, and that's a size 14 hook, and that's it. So I can put this in different areas of the swim. Like I say, there's still fish rising, so there's fish there. So I'm going to pop this where I think the fish are, put the rod down, undo the drag, and just be very patient, and hopefully we're going to find 1 or 2. That's it, set. Time for a coffee. Well, like a liner, I mean the line hasn't sank properly yet. I haven't sank the line, but that's not an issue. If I get a bite, I'll see, you know, I'll definitely see it. Usually with this approach, the fish are on, you know, just like when you're normal fishing with, you know, with air rigs, when you're bombing corn, bombing bread, obviously, just like when you're method feeder fishing. With an air rig like that, when the rod goes, the fish should be on. Well, that was a bite out of the blue. Scared me to death. I had 3 casts down to my right with bread on, but just to cover my options, I decided, just a little left one, yeah, there we go, I decided to flick a few grains of corn to where I was casting the maggot feeder, straight in front to where the island is. So I put them, so I tried a grain of corn. It's been in about 7 or 8 minutes, but just nearly pulled the rod in. As you can see, lovely little left one, just hooked in the corner of its mouth, just on a single grain of corn. and that fish is freezing. It's really cold, so it looks like it's very much a winter theme today, but that might be the way to go. Just keep flicking a few grains of corn, just like we would in the depths of winter. So I'm just going to alternate between those two lines, just keep dropping a bomb on there with corn, but I can keep dropping down to my right with bread on, or corn on its own in the area where I haven't fed. But I haven't seen a fish rise now for a good 40 minutes or so, so maybe that's just a sign that, you know, as the temperature's dropped, that's obviously, you know, why the fish have stopped jumping and rising like they were, or showing. So I'm going to do that. I'm still feeding corn down to my right, down this margin, where I'll be going on that in a little while, but it'll be nice to just get a runner of F1s now. So it's just a single grain of corn on a speed stop. Just one bit of corn hooked that way through the side, and that fills up the whole hair, as you can see, just like that. Just a short hook length, and that's it. So it was in about 8 minutes that time, but I'm going to go back to that spot and keep flicking 4 or 5 grains of corn in over the top of that. So we're off the mark. Had a cast down to my right again with bread, not a single sign. Just rested that swim just on the point of the island where I've been flicking a bit of corn in. It's only been in there about a minute. But we've got one, positive pull. Let's see what this one is. A bit bigger than what I thought, that. I don't know if it's an F1 or a carp, this one. Putting up a bit of a scrap now. Big F1, I think. Yeah, always big F1. Get that one. It's a good stamp. Just got to keep that corn going in on that short line. I'll be getting going on that shortly. I'm building it up. I haven't been on it yet. Just hooked corner of his mouth. That'd be a disgorger job, that one. Oh no, we can get that. There we go. It's bigger than the last one. Good size F1s those. It's suddenly got loads of energy, but it's freezing cold. It is cold fish. Let's get him back. Let's see if we can catch a couple more on that line before we go on that short line. Well, we're just on a single grain of corn again, just hooked through the side. Let's find a nice bigger piece. There we go. Just through the side like that, and that's it. Let's go back to the same spot. Just off the point of that island where we've been flicking a bit of corn. Now, I'm not going to keep feeding too much there, I'm just going to put a couple of grains in, and that's because I'm going to be coming off it shortly to have a look on the short line. So I'm not going to feed too much on this line now because I'm going to be coming off it shortly, so I'm only going to put a couple of grains in because I'm going to be having a look down this short line in a minute. Well, I've had a couple more liners out there. I haven't had any more fish, but there's definitely 1 or 2 fish out there, but I don't want to sit on it any longer now, so it's time to try this short line. I've been feeding it now for about, well, since the start of the session, so I've been feeding it for about 2 hours, just dripping a few bits of corn in. I'm going to leave exactly the same rig on, nothing fancy. I know this area you'd probably target with a pole normally anyway, but I've only got this one rod set up, so I'm going to target it with 1 grain of corn, just where I've just been loose feeding. I would have the rod on my knee, just in case we get any quick, in case you get a quick response. So this is the only part of the swim that I've really fed kind of quite confidently. Another fish rose there, but I fed this in the deeper water down the bottom of that slope, so this might tell us if they've been in that deeper water all the time. Feather that down. No doubt if there are any fish down there, we'll get indications whether they're taking the bait or not. Well, that was a really positive pull from nowhere, no indications. We've got one. Oh, first cast. Well, we've primed that for 2 hours, and you'd expect something to be there. Maybe there's just been down in that deeper water today, I don't know. It could be the time of day, it could be the fact that we've primed the line, it could be that just there's more fish on this inside, I don't know. Can't see the hook bait. I told you he took that out of the blue. You scored your job. It's another good F1, but there was no indicator. I expected seeing 1 or 2 indications first. I expected seeing 1 or 2 liners and things first if there were any fish milling around, but come on mate, off you go. But obviously it's much better when you just get a clean bite like that out of the blue and it just shot straight out of the peg. So hopefully there's a few knocking about now around this inside line to finish off the session. Single grain of corn again, just up exactly the same, everything's the same rig, everything. Let's get a nice good sized piece of corn. Let's have a look, let's get that on just through the sides. There we go, just the right size that on this hair, as you can see, just so that the bend of the hook, right, the bend of the hook is right where the corn's sitting. Just lowered it in nice and stealthy, don't want to cause any disturbance. Lower it down. I've got the drag set, even though I've got the rod on my knee. You never know what you're going to hook on these lines, and obviously it's such short range. Just like that bite was, the rod just goes. So I'm going to keep dripping 3 or 4 grains of corn in on this line while I'm actually fishing it, and hopefully it'll get stronger. But hopefully that wasn't a stray. Hopefully we're going to have a run of fish on this inside now. The only downside to catching at such short range like this is when you do hook a fish, all the disturbance is close to you. You know, even when you're netting fish, it's still pretty close to your line. So that obviously can cause problems as regards getting a run of fish together or fish settling properly. But on a different sort of peg, I would have fed this line further down away from me. But because of this clump of reeds here, I couldn't quite do that properly. But I wanted to try it at short range. But hopefully there's going to be enough depth there and we've fed it for long enough. There we go, that looks like a big liner. That was a big liner, that. So that's good. We've just had 2 indications in the last minute or so, so there's obviously 1 or 2 down there still. But a lot of this sort of fish, see another indication there, there's a fish down there. I only really want to pick up on something that I'm sure is a bite. I don't want to risk pulling into a fish or spooking it if I'm striking into it and it's gone across the line, so I'll just do what I did on the last cast and just wait for a positive hook up before I pick up. Well, the rain's here now, but I've just rested that line. I literally just give it, I had 1 cast back at the island. I'm not feeding that line anymore, just to give this line 5 minutes, and I've dropped back in on it and it's gone straight round. This feels a heavier fish now it's got near me, but such a positive pull just from nowhere. What's really surprising me is that I'm not really getting any sort of liners. There's just bites out of the blue, which is exactly exactly what you'd want. You know, you don't want lots of little indications. This feels very different now. It's much slower. I don't know if it's hooked right or whether it's a bigger fish. It looks like twice I've done that now. Just rested it and gone back on it and had one straight away. It's going around in circles, this one. I don't know if it's hooked right or not. Just going to feed that line again. This fish has just gone on a bit of a run. I'm just going to set this line up again. Ready for the next fish. The light's really gone now, as you can tell. Obviously the rain's here. I always feel much more confident, especially this time of year when that light starts to go, especially on this short line. What is it? It's a carp, this one. It's not an F1. I'm just trying to play him to my left to try and keep the disturbance to the right to a minimum. Try and get underneath. There we go, we've got him. Bigger fish than what I thought. I thought it was an F1 when I first hooked it. Lovely fish. It's just wrapped underneath its fin. There we go. Ah, it's hooked right in the corner of its mouth, as you can see. Let's get that out. There we go. Pop that bomb in there. Nice fish, long fish that one. Excellent. Sometimes the fish you catch on that shorter lines, they are your better fish. Popping back, fish, you can get another one. Off you go, turn round, that's it. Well, I've already fed that line while I was playing that fish. So hopefully we've primed it, ready for another one. So I'll have a couple more drops in on it, and that might just be the routine now. Have a couple of drops in, try and catch a fish. And if I don't, just have a 5 or 10 minute cast out there back towards the island just to rest it a little bit and then drop back in on it again. Sometimes we have to do that in summer, but certainly in winter when the fish are a little bit cagey and when you're just fishing for one at a time. But I'm going to go straight in on it now, see if we can get one. Get another one. That's really surprised me how the bites have just been real clean bites. That's exactly how you'd want it. So that's been good. I had 2 drops in on it, didn't get a sign. Just cast the bomb out to the point of the island again. And it's only been in a minute and it's gone round. I couldn't believe it. Sometimes having a swim where you swim away from where your main line that you're resting, if you can keep nicking a fish on that line as well, and that can be a great way of catching some extra fish. But no, F1, brilliant. Didn't expect that one. Just shows you how leaving these areas alone today, just giving them a bit of a rest. Plundering one area definitely isn't the way to go. Come on, mate, get this biting back. There we go. Great condition, that one. Oh, and off we go. Well, that's been a really wintry session, but it just shows by targeting different areas of the swim and starting to scale back and just slow things down a little bit now. The temperatures are getting much colder. There are still quite a few fish feeding, so it's been a very interesting day. If you'd like to see more session videos like this, please give this one a big thumbs up. And thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.